Hi, my name is Ethan Groos, and I'm with Essential Ag Solutions. Essential Ag Solutions works with a variety of industries, from animal agriculture to the commercial sector. We offer different solutions to meet specific needs. Today we want to talk about our solution for cleaning, BioClean. BioClean is a revolutionary product that utilizes billions of microscopic probiotic organisms to go onto a surface and truly clean it down to the microscopic level. When we talk about cleaners versus disinfectants, most disinfectants require that you clean all surface soil and contamination away from that surface with soap and water prior to utilizing the disinfectant. BioClean works differently in the fact that we utilize competitive exclusion to clean our surfaces. Competitive exclusion is simply the principle where two species competing for the same limited resource cannot coexist at constant population values. When one species even has the slightest advantage over the other, the one with the advantage will dominate in the long term. When applied to a surface, BioClean floods the surface with millions and billions of probiotic organisms that continue to work for up to 3 days, either wet or dry, something that chemical disinfectants cannot prove and cannot do. BioClean also has motility, where it gets down into the slightest cracks and crevices, areas that we can't get to with brushes or towels, to truly clean and give every portion of the surface a real clean. BioClean is also pH neutral. It's not too acidic and it's not too basic, therefore reducing corrosion on the surface that it's applied to. And when leaving behind the residual, we prevent further reformation of pathogenic life by keeping that surface barrier and that surface protection there. So how do we know that BioClean truly is cleaning better and cleaning differently? Through the use of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, the basic energy source of all living organisms, we can tell how clean or how dirty a surface is. When we swab a surface, with this swab, we collect ATP on the tip of the swab. When we break this chamber, it contains luciferin, in which the enzyme luciferase is contained. That will allow us to bioilluminate in this ATP reader, thus giving us a reading from 0 to 10,000 in relative light units, or RLUs. So today we're going to demonstrate 4 different cleaning/disinfectant products that are on the market that we come up against in the agricultural world as well as the commercial world. What we have here is just a red hog sort panel. This has been washed with soap and water already prior to using this per many label directions. So what we're going to do is take our quaternary ammonia, which we see a lot in the industry today, a generic cleaner with bleach, a name brand accelerated hydrogen peroxide, and then of course BioClean. We're going to take a swab of each of them pre-cleaning, and then a swab after they've gone through their label directions, and then we will look at them in about an hour or so to see how clean we're keeping it. So we're going to start off with the quaternary ammonia. Take my swab, my reader is on, and I'm just going to swab the ARFs at 2" by 2" up to a 3" by 3" area, making sure I get plenty of contact. I don't want to be touching the shaft of the swab. I just want to be, I'm going to touch it, break the bulb, which contains luciferase, give it a quick shake for 5 or so seconds, get it completely coated, pop it into the reader and wait 15 seconds. An inertial reading of 1,178. Discard our tube. Do my next one, bleach. Once again, getting that 2" roughly to 3" square pattern. 690. Next I'm going to do the accelerated hydrogen peroxide. 3,030. And finally we will test the area for the BioClean. 6,010. Per directions, we want to follow what each of them recommends. This quaternary ammonia recommends a 10-minute dwell time. So I'm going to spritz on this area, let it stay wet for 10 minutes, then I'll dry it off and I'll retest it. Our bleach does not require a dwell time per label directions. Spray and wipe with a paper towel or lint-free cloth, so we'll do that. Our name brand accelerated hydrogen peroxide requires a 1-minute dwell time to kill viruses and bacteria, and BioClean does not contain a dwell time. For today's demonstration, we're going to spray it on and wipe it off in a relatively quick manner. When we're using this, whether in locker rooms or barns or areas that really need a deep clean, we can foam this on and allow it to sit indefinitely without leaving behind sticky residues or things that are necessarily unwanted in that environment, but once again, being completely safe for humans and animals to be around the product. So we're going to start with a quaternary, and it's going to require a 10-minute dwell time. So when I spray it on, I'm going to start the timer, we'll wait for 10 minutes, and then we'll wipe it off. Let it sit. Next up, we're going to use our generic cleaner with bleach. Once again, this does not require a dwell time. For label directions, it is a spray and wipe. So we're going to spray it down and then wipe with this clean paper towel well for each quadrant. And a reading of 152. Next up, we're going to use our name brand accelerated hydrogen peroxide, and this requires a 1-minute dwell time. All right, so there's our 1-minute timer. We're going to go ahead and wipe off this. All right, now we're going to come back and swab it. Once again, that same 2-inch by 3-inch type pattern. A reading of 61. Finally, we're going to use our BioClean. We said we don't need to let it sit on the surface. Once the BioClean goes on, the organisms are going to eat down to the microscopic level, removing any microfilms or contamination we might see. No dwell time, and we'll swab the surface. And we're down to 62. All right, there's our timer for our quaternary. Wipe it off. There's good and dry. We'll swab this surface. Crack the chamber, quick shake, put in our tube, and wait 15 seconds. And we're down to 341. So to recap our initial cleaning, take into consideration certain dwell times that some of these products do require. We had our quaternary ammonia, went from an initial reading of 1,178 RLUs down to 341 after its recommended 10-minute dwell time. That's a reduction of about 71%. Our generic cleaner with bleach went from an initial reading of 690 RLUs down to 150. That's a reduction of 78%. Our name brand accelerated hydrogen peroxide went from an initial reading of 3,030 RLUs down to 61. That's an astonishing reduction of 98%. And then, of course, BioClean at the end, we went from an initial reading of 6,010 down to 62 RLUs, a reduction of 99%. Like we talked about, we envision that BioClean is going to continue to clean, right? As we talked about earlier. So we're going to come back an hour later and see if that is in fact true. And we'll see if these ones remain low or if they climb back up. So we'll see in an hour. So we're back here about an hour later. We theorize, like we talked about disinfectants not working when they're dry, that our quaternary, our bleach, and our accelerated hydrogen peroxide will probably be close to or higher than they were before. Whereas with the residual effect of BioClean, we're going to be hoping to see a number that's close to or lower than the one that we had before, as even though it's dry, the product continues to clean. So I'm going to go ahead and start swabbing. I'm going to start with the quaternary. And we were at 341 initially. We'll wait 15 seconds and see where we're at. And we're at 605. Next up, we'll do our bleach. And we're at 273. We had an initial reading of 152, and we raised to 273. Up next, we'll do our accelerated hydrogen peroxide. And this is one that had a real nice reduction beforehand. We'll see what it looks like an hour later here. And we're at 235. We had an initial good reduction of about 98% down to 61. But like we know, since they stop working after they dry, we go back up at a relatively exponential rate. And finally, we're going to do our BioClean. Like we said, we're assuming this number should be lower just due to the effect and the residual that the probiotics will have. And we're at 19. So we saw a nice reduction and a long-term residual effect of the BioClean, kind of like we had envisioned before, whereas our cleaners and disinfectants continue to go back up. What I'm going to do now, just for the sake of the board, I'm going to strip off the tape, clean it all down with BioClean, and then we'll get a couple of more readings at certain areas just to make sure that the entire surface is good and clean. All right, I got done wiping it off. We're going to swab a couple of spots, making sure it's all good and clean now. We had a reading of 7. I'm going to swab another side of the board. And we had a reading of 19. So to recap, just the RLU readings we got with our quaternary, our bleach, our accelerated hydrogen peroxide, and of course our BioClean. With our current industry standard quaternary ammonia cleaner and disinfectant, we went from an initial reading of 1,178 down to 341. That'd be a gross reduction of about 71%. An hour later, that reading increased to about 605, giving us an overall net reduction of only 49%. Our generic cleaner with bleach had an initial reading of 690. We reduced that down to 152, giving a gross reduction of about 78%. Unfortunately, about an hour later when we came back, it increased up to 273, giving it only a net reduction of about 60%. Our accelerated hydrogen peroxide started out at 3,030 and gave us an astonishingly good reading, dropping it down to 61, which would be a gross reduction of 98%. Also though, unfortunately, that number climbed right back up to 232, giving us only a net reduction of 92%. Still a good reading, but we can theorize that number is going to continue to go up overnight, and I would theorize if we tested it tomorrow, we'd see an even higher number. For us, the BioClean started out at the highest at 6,010. Our initial reduction dropped down to 62, a reduction of 99%. And then an hour later, we came back, and just as we had theorized, with the residual effect and the BioClean continuing to clean for up to 3 days, we dropped it down to 19, giving us a net reduction of 99.7. So in closing today, we want to thank you for watching our demonstration with our BioClean Biosurfactant Cleaner. Just to reiterate a couple of points about it. Having a cleaner that can do what we had demonstrated today, as well as being green, all natural, completely safe for yourselves, your children, your animals, whoever is in that vicinity, and also being a sustainable product. It's not just better because it contains less harsh chemicals. We're truly taking biology to fight biology, which in the end, we believe will be the winner. Thanks and have a wonderful day.